just painted it. Same thing with these two here. These are both Stacy. They're my girlfriend. She's a redheaded woman. But you can see the same thing happened here, the underpainting. Part of, I think, the skill that you learn with underpainting is where to put it. You know, and the hair just seemed perfect, and then the shadow on the leg having the underpainting. But, you know, I wanted to talk just a minute. I know I don't want to take up too much time. I wanted to take just a second to talk about being an artist. And what was the expression I used with you? The dizzying heights and the devastating lows. And one of the first things I tell new artists is open a savings account. Because I've had shows in LA that sold out before the reception. You know, gallery owner calls me and says, hey, 35 paintings are sold. It's gonna be kind of a disappointing reception for people. But I've also had shows where I'm driving home from my own gallery thinking, how am I gonna pay for the broccoli? You know, just people just walk right by and walk in and look at everything and leave. And I think with Brett's situation, with my situation, you never know what kind of thing is gonna come into your life. You know? And I don't know about you, but man, I've been humbled. I've really been humbled. I moved here a big hot shot, you know, with close to $1 million in the bank and selling work all over the place, and then things happen and you nosedive, and things happen where people aren't buying your work all of a sudden. And I've got one more story here, and my nephew will appreciate this. He's Mark Garbutt, the one that asked. I do baseball paintings because when I was a teenager, I was a pitcher and I made the All-Stars, but they didn't start me, and I was really pissed. I'm sitting on the bench, I should be in there. Well, about the 4th or 5th inning, they're ahead 13-7. And the coach calls me and he says, okay, Green, I'm gonna put you in. He says, but if I see you look at the scoreboard even once, you're out. And I pitched a no-hitter and we won 16-13. So all my life, I've had this thing, don't look at the scoreboard. And something Fritz Shoulder told me was tenacity will take you farther than talent. And you just have to believe in yourself. That's just, I think that's the biggest thing being an artist, is just believe in yourself. If you're not good, don't believe in yourself. But if you're good and you know you're good and you have something to offer, then you just have to be tenacious about it, and you have to go through the lows, and you have to not let your head get too big in the highs. You know, like I said, Fritz was just so gracious, and I think of that when I start to get full of myself. It's like, Green, go sit down, just drink some tea or something, but get over yourself. Because it's still a struggle. I've been doing this 40 years, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle emotionally, mentally, art-wise. Brett's lucky because he lays everything out and he knows what he's gonna do. Whereas me, I'm a big Francis, okay, Francis Bacon fan. He starts with a photograph a lot of times, but by the time he's done, you would never know it. And I start with photographs sometimes, but if a painting is too good, I obliterate it, because I don't want a good painting. I don't want a precise painting. It's just not me. I love good, precise paintings. I'll have Nerdrum I love Rembrandt and Caravaggio. But, you know, even when I went to music school to learn jazz, I just wanted to get home, crank up the amp, and play some Jeff Beck, you know. So that's kind of how it is. My uncle was a jazz musician, and he looked at my work and said, you paint jazz. So that's it. I could talk for hours. You know. In fact, this has inspired me to start a blog again, because I just realized how much I have to say. But thank you so much for coming and listening and all that. Is there any questions?
So you mentioned God. You said that you had a gift from God.
Uh-huh.
And I was just curious, how do you represent God in paintings? And also, how do you represent, if you do believe in God, I see a lot of positivity, a lot of beautiful colors. I see a lot of positivity, for a lack of a better description. But where do the demons go? Do the demons make it on the canvas? I mean, is there a dark side to?
Okay, I have to tell this last story. I did a workshop with 8 women, all in their 60s, and it was an 8-hour workshop. And I said, the first 4 hours, I want you to paint the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life. One woman married a dentist. 2 weeks after the wedding, he committed suicide. One woman lived in Texas, and she picked cotton with her 8 brothers and sisters, and if they didn't have their quota picked by the end of the day, she got whipped, and she had to still get her quota, and she had to walk 5 miles home in the dark to the farm. We went to lunch, and I said, okay, now, over this painting, I want you to paint the best thing that's ever happened to you. And they all did, you know, they painted these beautiful paintings over it. So a lot of these paintings have got demons under them. And Dostoevsky said beauty will save the world. So I use my art to, I've got demons, baby. I've got really big, dark demons. And I just paint over them with beauty. But the demons are there, trust me, they're really there. There's nothing really that represents that, except these are pretty dark paintings. I mean, the color's there and everything, but they're pretty darn dark because it's a diaspora of these animals escaping the devastation. Yes?
So, in a lot of your more stage figure work, I see a lot of women, I see a lot of animals, I see a lot of indigenous folks, but I don't see a lot of figures that look like you. But I hear that your stories are embedded into the work, and I understand that the narrative is living underneath them. What is that character selection like for you? And then have you ever worked characters or figures that look like you into your work? What is that like?
I haven't, and I see a lot of people that do, you know, self-portraits and all that sort of thing, and I just have never done it. You know, I've done some sketches of myself, but there's so much more beauty to paint in me. Yes?
Could you talk a little bit about color and how you choose your palette? And one thing I noticed I'm kind of interested in is sometimes we'll look at an accent of use and the color line is borderline gonzo, but it always works. And it's always exciting. So I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about, do you start with a palette in mind? When do you decide to change it?
I never do. I have all my paints, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, everything's organized and all that, but I never put a palette out there to say, okay, these are the colors I'm gonna use.
Huh.
I just start, and you know, the orange in Stacy's hair, I'll just, in college, our design teacher gave us a Pantone printing book and said, you're gonna know how to mix all of these colors by the end of the year. So I really got a feel for color, and I just kind of instinctively know, but I struggle too. And you were talking about all the outlines I have around things. That's because that background didn't work. So I'll leave just a narrow strip of that color, and after 10 times of having the wrong background color, I've got good lines and good color.
Ah.
But it's mostly instinctive, just like jazz, it's improvisation. I'm very improvisational with my paintings. Right?
And after your injury, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And what pulled you up off the bed and got you moving again? I mean, going from not being able to walk and being paralyzed. What kept you moving? What kept you getting back in the studio?
It's in the blood, you know. But I mean, I had to learn to walk first, and I hurt so bad I couldn't even sketch. I lost about 50 pounds because I couldn't even eat. but, I mean, it's all I know. It's what I told my ex-mother-in-law. You know, when she said I should get a job and have insurance and all that. There was 14 guys in my neighborhood and only 5 of us lived past 21, and the thing that made me survive was I had music and art. And I had my dad and my stepmother, art and music and all that. So there was really nothing else I could do, but I just loved it so much. And also I was gonna ask you, is there anything you wanna add to this, anything that I'm saying here?
You're doing great, man. I think you're wonderful. I mean, I mean, to be sure, I've known you for a really long time.
Yeah.
We go way back in this world.
20 years.
But I, you know, the idea of pulling your hats out of bad spots and just
Yeah.
persevering and trying to maintain positivity as you work and finding new ways to work and understanding limitation and just pushing through it. It's just, I mean, this is a remarkable work.
A lot of tenacity,
Yeah.
and like I said, you've gotta be tenacious. And, another famous artist I knew who told me once, don't be an artist unless you have to be. And the reason was, he was in a workshop and a girl said, well, I wanna be an artist. And he said, well, stop. Because don't do this unless you have to be. And you and I have talked about it. You're gonna be broke, you're gonna be lonely, you're gonna be frustrated, but you're also gonna have the rewards of pushing through and seeing like, oh man. And I never say at the end of the day, look what I painted. I say, look what happened while I was painting. And it's just so fun to see it develop, and you know, by the end of the day, you go, holy mackerel, I love this. Let's go.
So it's not a trick question, it's a serious, very serious
No.
question, but what do you think about the word masterpiece? We use it all over the world. We've all studied thousands of artists. What do you think of the word masterpiece? Do you have a masterpiece? And if you had to pick one painting to leave behind out of the thousands you've probably done, you would leave that one. Okay,
Yeah.
so one. All right, it's here right now.
The word magnus opus appeared, and not because it's so worldly great, but to me, it was this.
That's what you want to be known for, is that.
Yeah,
right
this
there.
took me 6 months at least, and when I was done, I just thought, that's what I would leave behind. That's what I want people to know me for, and that's what I want to feed people's souls more than any of these. And you've seen a lot of my work. I think this is not a masterpiece, but it's just the most profound and beautiful piece I think I've
The
ever
one you'd
done.
like to be known for, if
Yeah.
you had to pick one.
Yeah, yeah, good question.
Fair.
But what defines a masterpiece?
Pardon?
What defines a masterpiece?
I think that's subjective. Yeah, I mean, it's, so many people would look at, I mean, you might look at a Pollock and say that's a masterpiece, and what's the guy next to you gonna say? Well, my 9-year-old could do that, you know? So, I think it kinda depends on taste. I guess academia, did you go all through art school, get a degree in the whole thing? So academia might have a criteria for a masterpiece, do you think?
I think that's more to do with like the taste of the time and the critics of the time. I mean,
Yeah.
and then a rising of what's being done to match what's, you know, to, I don't know, and there's a reason we talk about impressionists now that they weren't talking about back then.
Oh,
You know, I
we were
mean,
ridiculed.
I mean, and there's the reason that like artists like Jerome disappeared. They were
Yeah.
making amazing paintings. I mean, it's very, that world is so,
Kind of malleable.
and it's all based on,
Yes.
you know, the
Yeah,
dollar bill is also what dictates
Yeah.
the masterpiece, you know?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
I have 2 questions. I'm trying to remember the second one.
That's okay, I'm right there with you. Like I said, the round thing that tells time.
I know, it's just surgery brain. So, throughout your career, I mean, you said kind of this is the most meaningful work that you feel like you've given over the course of time. But throughout your career, how much of your painting has been towards the mass?